Hi, my name is Jim Penn. I am a solutions architect on Qlik's public sector team. For today's video, I will provide a quick review of Qlik's end-to-end analytics pipeline and then review and demonstrate an end-to-end scenario leveraging both Qlik and Snowflake. Qlik's analytics data pipeline focuses on helping customers better understand how to leverage data to accelerate business value. Our technologies help organizations transform raw data into informed action, enabling active intelligence. So let's review the key aspects of Qlik's analytics data pipeline. The first step in the analytics data pipeline is freeing the data from its silos. So we take the raw data from wherever it is, in the cloud, multi-cloud, on-prem, and we continuously deliver it to where it needs to be, reflecting changes in real time. So as you can see from this slide, the notion of real time is key. Once we free the data, we want to make sure that users can easily find it. So at this stage, we capture that data, preserve its lineage, and we perform smart identification in a governed catalog where users can shop for the data and publish it to their analytics tool, Qlik Sense obviously being the tool of choice. So at that point, the data is in an analytics ready state. In Qlik Sense, users can take advantage of the power of augmented analytics to uncover richer insights. They can collaborate with others, and they can do this on the go. So at this point, the data is business ready, meaning there is business logic applied to the data. Finally, once you understand the data, the last step in the analytics pipeline is to take action. Embed analytics into your agency's mission-critical systems, or deliver sophisticated context-aware alerts in real time as changes happen. So the data pipeline is actionable. Now let's see this in action. In today's demo, we will leverage publicly available federal procurement data from usaspending.gov within components of Qlik's analytics data pipeline to populate and query this data in Snowflake. Specifically, we will leverage our data integration products to capture and transform the procurement data into analytics-ready datasets in Snowflake, catalog these results, and then leverage our analytics data platform to analyze and interact with this data. Our first stop in the analytics data pipeline is Qlik Replicate. Within Replicate, we create tasks that define the sources and targets, called endpoints, for replication. Let's open the government spending task. Once in the task, you see graphically a representation of the sources and target endpoints defined. If I expand the left panel, you will see a robust set of endpoint connections that Replicate supports, including SAP and mainframe sources. For this demo, we are assuming that the procurement data from usaspending.gov resides in an Oracle database and our target is Snowflake. Adding sources and targets is as easy as dragging and dropping from the connection list. If I double-click on my source endpoint, I can see its connection properties, and I can test connection. I can do the same with my target, which in this case will be Snowflake running on Azure. I'll test that connection as well, and then close the connection panel. Now that I have my endpoints defined, I can choose the source tables that I would like to replicate into Snowflake. By clicking on the table selection, I get a dialog that allows me to find and choose the source tables, in this case, from the Oracle source database. That's all I need to do in defining this task and now begin replicating data. Note that I can also include a wildcard that allows for the same replicate task to automatically pick up new tables that may get added to this source endpoint. Now that the task is defined and saved, I can click the Run link from the top menu bar and the task will execute. As I monitor the execution of this replicate task, it's important to note that Replicate supports both batch and real-time change data capture automatically just by defining this task. As you can see, my initial load has completed, and now this task is set up for change processing should changes occur on the source. Now that we have the raw data replicating into our landing database in Snowflake, we can now transform it into analytics-ready structures using Qlik Compose for data warehouses. Here I have a government spending project open. Compose has 4 components: databases, model, data warehouse, and data mart. Let's explore each of these components. In databases, we define the source and target databases for this project. The source database, in this case, is the Snowflake target from our replicate task. Reviewing its properties, please note that the source connection is linked to the replicate task we saw earlier so that data can flow automatically into this project in real time. The target data warehouse for this project is also Snowflake, and we can test its connectivity. Now that I have the database connections defined, I can begin developing the logical model for this data warehouse. If I display the defined model, I can see an entity relationship that shows contracting actions linking to recipients, products or services, and funding agencies, along with a higher level product service category. There are a few ways that this model can be generated. One of the most common is to allow Compose to discover the model based on the source database tables. Alternately, if the model is already defined within a tool like Irwin, it could be imported into this project. Once the model is defined, I can review the entities that will ultimately be used to generate the ETL routines to populate this data warehouse. Note that I can enrich the existing model with date and time dimensions as seen here. Finally, I validate the model before moving on to the next step in the project, data warehouse. Now that the model is created, I can have Compose automatically generate the data warehouse schema and ETL routines. If I review the data warehouse schema, I can see all the tables that will physically get created in Snowflake. Next, I can generate the ETL mappings for each of the entities in this model, which will then generate the ETL instructions that need to be performed. For our government spending project, there are over 250 instructions that need to be executed to populate this data warehouse. Note that Compose also generates automatically change data capture instructions, so a single Compose project can be leveraged for both batch and CDC loads. I validate the data warehouse and then move to the final step. Now that the data warehouse is populated, Compose can generate an analytics data mart schema and populate that from the data warehouse. The instructions to populate the star schema can also be generated and executed as part of this project. Let's monitor the tasks for this data warehouse project. At the top, I have my replicate task that I created earlier that is currently running in CDC mode. I have my 2 initial population mappings, one for the data warehouse and one for the data mart, that have successfully completed. And I also have my change data capture data warehouse task waiting to run once additional changes are captured. Now that we have the data mart defined and populated in Snowflake from our Compose project, we can leverage Qlik Catalog to access this data mart and make its definition available for business users to consume. Qlik Catalog is the interactive catalog and marketplace for data. Qlik Catalog provides a single go-to catalog to find, understand, and use any enterprise data source, regardless of where it physically sits. It is like an Amazon-like shopping experience for your data, regardless if that data is physically in a data warehouse, a data lake in the cloud, SharePoint, or even sitting in an Excel file on a shared folder drive. Catalog is more than just a searchable catalog. The catalog is secured so that users can only see tables and data they are authorized to see. Let's see if we can find the government spending data mart that was created from Compose. At the top of the screen, I can search on many fields. In my case, I want to search for a tag, GOVT, that represents all of the tables that are coming from that data mart from the Compose project. If I double click on contracting actions, I see more information about the data set, including business names, definitions, and tags to help find this data set. I also see an operational, quality, and population KPI scorecard. These KPIs let me know how often the data set is refreshed, how good is the data within the data set, and finally, how often the data set is being requested for use by business users. Finally, I see information about fields and related items related to this data set. If I return to the home page, I can select one or more of these data sets to add to my shopping cart. In my case, I'm going to add all 4. Now that I have added these 4 data sets to my cart, I can take action. Data sets can be published directly to Qlik Sense, which generates a Qlik Sense app on the fly for the user to explore and analyze. Data sets can also be sent to other downstream systems, such as BI and reporting tools, data science platforms, other business applications, etc. In my case, I am going to publish to Qlik Sense and create a new app. When I do this, I am sent directly into Qlik Sense with the app open and ready for exploration. One easy way to explore is via Insight Advisor, where I can have Qlik automatically generate visualizations against this data set that has been published automatically into Qlik Sense from Catalog. The final step in our analytics data pipeline is to visualize the data from Snowflake in Qlik Sense. Let's take a look at the government spending app. In reviewing the application properties, the first thing I'd like to do is review the data model that has been generated within Qlik Sense. Launching the data model viewer, I can see that the data mart created from the Compose project that was published in Catalog is reflected here in Qlik Sense. If I jump back to the application properties, I can now start exploring the data in Snowflake using predefined dashboards called Sheets. Interactive analysis is at the heart of Qlik Sense and allows you to drive new insights and make new discoveries. We call this the associative difference. Let's see the difference between query-based tools and Qlik Sense. Let's say I wanted to search for the Department of Defense and space vehicles. Applying these selections, at the top I see the results I asked for: US, California, Pennsylvania, and a couple of fiscal quarters. However, someone reviewing these results may wonder if there is data prior to FY16 Q2 and after FY 2017 Q2. Let's see what Qlik's associative difference tells us. First, your selections are in green, your results are in white. The differences are the shades of gray. The dark gray shows selections that are not associated. So as I review the fiscal year quarter column, I see that I did have data prior to FY 2016 Q2. In fact, I had data for Q1. And as I scroll down, I will see I have data all the way through FY 2020 Q2. So that answers that question. But what's also powerful is the light gray, or alternate selections. In addition to space vehicles, did you know that the DoD also purchased ADP and telecommunications, ammunitions and explosives, etc.? But the inverse is also intriguing. Did you know that NASA and Department of Commerce also bought space vehicles? Why would Commerce be buying space vehicles? Let's pivot our analysis to find out. In this detailed view, my context from the prior dashboard is preserved, and I see that the Department of Commerce, NOAA, is the purchaser of space vehicles. I could see that given their research projects. Now that I've discovered this, I can preserve the findings by taking a snapshot of these results that I can then use later in building a story. I can easily clear my filters, and now I'm at an overall spending view. I can continue exploring just by clicking on values in any of these displays. I can choose the Department of Navy from the distribution plot. I can lasso a bunch of sub-agencies from the scatter plot. And I can grab a block of time from the spending timeline. Notice that all of these visualizations update instantaneously as I explore and apply filters. One thing to also note, if I wanted to preserve these filters and these displays, I can create a bookmark that can be saved in my profile that I can leverage later when I reopen this app at a later time. QlikSense offers a smart search where I can just start typing. Let's say I want to search for spending for Army weapons. I just start typing, and QlikSense shows me everywhere within the model where Army and weapons appears, both together and separate. I click on a value, and it automatically applies as filters. In addition to snapshots and bookmarks, there are other self-service capabilities available to me in QlikSense. In reviewing the results of this smart search for Army weapons, I see that most of the spending has occurred in FY 2019. I can annotate this by adding a note to the dashboard. I open the Notes panel, and I can create a note. I have one already created for this Army spend that lets others know of my findings. These notes are saved within the application and can be shared with others. Next, I'd like to track any new increases in Army spend. Within any visualization on the dashboard, I can right-click and create a new alert. When I do so, I am presented with the alerting wizard. I first give the alert a title, New Army Spend. Then I choose the measure that I'm going to evaluate to identify new spend, in my case, number of awards. I click Next, and now I'm presented with the condition that I need to evaluate to identify this new spend. In my case, it's also number of awards with a value greater than 15. Finally, I can choose a schedule. By default, it's when the data is refreshed for when I receive this alert, as well as I can share this with others. Finally, I click the Create button, and the alert is saved within my profile. One last self-service feature that is available to me is the ability to subscribe to have results delivered to me on a specific schedule. In my case, I'd like to have this Army spending dashboard delivered to me. From the app overview, I click Subscribe to Sheet. And I'm presented with the subscription panel where I can give it a name. I will call my subscription Army Weapons Dashboard. And then I can choose the frequency and time in which the dashboard will be delivered to me via email. I can click the Subscribe button, and then this subscription is saved in my profile. Finally, remember I mentioned that you can take snapshots of results and create a story? This is an example of a story that I created for this application. I can include these snapshots along with titles, logos, images, and text to highlight my findings. You can think of this as Qlik's take on PowerPoint. The difference is if you are presenting this and someone asks, where did you get these results? You can right-click and go directly to the source dashboard. Once the question is answered, you can jump back into the story. Lastly, you can also download these stories to PDF from the Applications menu. When you are finished with the story, you can navigate back to the dashboard and continue exploring. Thank you for watching today's video. For more information on Qlik's end-to-end analytics pipeline, please visit qlik.com.